In this sample, we show the flexibility of Map Suite Android Edition in labeling parcels, streets, and points of interest. Everything from the number of labels displayed on the screen to the size and color of the labels is customizable. We even show you how to implement your own custom style with our extensible APIs so that you can draw labels exactly how you need them. First, let's look at the label styling sample. The label styling example has parcels, streets, and POIs to show how all the labeling features work together to create a comprehensive map. The Map Suite core class text style applies to all feature types, points, lines, and polygons. From the settings screen, we can customize the style. Apply outline color creates an outline around the label text so it is more visible. Apply background mask displays a background behind the POI labels so that they stand out. When labels overlapping each other is selected, labels that would be hidden because they intersect with other labels are displayed. Grid size chops up the display area into cells behind the scenes and only displays one label per cell. If the grid size is small, many labels are displayed. If grid size is large, few labels will be shown. If we change duplicate rule to unlimited duplicate labels, roads can then be labeled multiple times. For example, the road Mall Ring will have multiple labels. Drawing margin changes the maximum length of some labels. For example, change it to something small, and you can see that Nordstrom's in-house cafe and coffee bar is truncated. Set this parameter to a value greater than 100 to reduce the chance that the label is truncated. Now let's look at labeling points. This example shows how you can control the placement of POI labels to create a clearly labeled map. From the Style Setting menu, it is possible to modify the location of the labels to any one of 9 placements with customizable X and Y offsets. Now let's look at labeling lines. This sample demonstrates the importance of splining. Streets and rivers don't always follow a straight path. Use splining so that the label follows the curves and zigzags of the feature. Under the setting Spline Type, it's possible to choose None, Standard Splining, and Force Splining. When None is selected, labels are only displayed in a straight line. This mode has the best performance. Standard Splining shows labels that curve with the road and those that can also be displayed without splining. Standard Splining generally looks the best. Force Splining forces the label to be displayed using splining. Usually this is best for Asian languages like Chinese or Japanese. The setting Line Segment Ratio is the maximum ratio of the label to the length of the street required for the label to be displayed. At the default setting of 0.9, Labels that are 90% of the road length or less will be displayed. Now let's look at labeling polygons. This sample shows some of the polygon-based labeling features, like only showing labels that can fit inside their polygon. If fitting factors only within is selected, only labels that fit inside their polygon are displayed by using the fitting polygon property. Not all labels that fit inside their polygon are displayed because there are other reasons why labels might be hidden. It is also possible to use the fitting polygon factor property to set which labels will be displayed based upon their size in relation to the size of the polygon. The setting label all polygon parts will label all the parts making up a polygon-based feature. And finally, let's look at custom labeling. If you don't like our built-in labeling styles, that's not a problem. Map Suite is fully extensible, so you can create your own custom labeling class. In this example, we created a custom class in order to have a minimum and maximum label text size. Okay, let's look at the code. Splash activity is the main launcher, which means that it will run when the program is opened and display the splash screen. The splash screen has a progress bar and text that says ready. After that occurs, then main activity is called. Main activity includes slider view, which sets up this sliding menu that comes in from the left side, and list view, which is a Xamarin class used to show the style list in the menu. In the sample list view item click function, the current sample is set to the style that was tapped on the screen. Under the samples folder, there's a base sample, and this is inherited by each of the labeling style samples. Now, base sample has map view, which is the ThinkGeo map suite map controller. It also has a title, which sets the title at the top of the screen. And it has a class for initializing the map. So when each of these labeling styles inherits base sample, they override the initialized map and set up the map for each style. There's also an apply settings function. And this runs on clicking OK in the settings dialog. Now there's a base settings dialog that sets up the settings dialog box. And that is also overridden by a style for each of the labeling styles. And for example, here's labeling lines setting dialog, which sets it to have the proper parameters. Then there is the style settings. And style settings returns the selected settings from the dialog box. And of course here we're parsing it to the type that we need. That's then overridden by a labeling style class for each labeling style. And so for example, this labeling lines has it returns the values that we set in the settings dialog box. All right, thank you for watching the Map Suite Android Edition labeling learning sample.